All right, latest Redfin article, home sales fell 4% in March as buying costs shot up. You'll read countless articles that inventory's up, uh, demand is down, the housing market is cooling. What to make of that? What is truly behind some of these numbers? I'll debunk some of the stuff that's out there and tell you some true facts and some true numbers behind supply and demand, what I feel is going to happen in 2022, what buyers are saying, what sellers are saying, what my clients mentality is going into Q2 of 2022, all that and more in this video. Stay tuned. All right, Matt, the mortgage guy here. In today's video, I want to go over this article. I want to talk about supply versus demand. I want to talk about what's happening because in the real estate market, I promise you this, over the next few months, you're going to get articles like this that home sales are down 4%. You're going to hear data about, home inventory is up 10, 15, 20%. It's easy to take that number and then tell people that, the housing market is going to crash without any true basis in fact, right? Without realizing that, if home foreclosure numbers are up 300%, but we're starting from zero, that 300% doesn't mean much, right? A lot of folks are comparing some numbers that were skewed. Either it was because of COVID or something else, but I want to talk to you about what I really see happening. The housing market is like a cruise ship. The thing doesn't turn on a dime, right? It takes a while to turn this big rig around. So nothing's going to happen super soon, but we can look at the trajectory of the market and what's going on to give you a feel on what's going to happen. So first and foremost, in regards to this stat and this headline, home sales fell 4% in March as buying costs shot up. First and foremost, March was like the hottest month ever for housing. The 4% that home sales fell was the number of sales. A really root cause for not a lot of home selling might be that there's not a lot of homes for sale, right? And so I think first and foremost, people got to get really clear about this, right? The number of home sales isn't the number you look at to determine what's going to happen in the future with price. Just because there's not a lot of homes for sale to sell doesn't mean that the housing market's cooling off and that you're going to go and be able to find deals. I find a lot of people wishing this was the truth, hoping this was the truth, and seeing something like this and be like, oh, home sales are down. Good news for me as a buyer. Not necessarily, right? Number of home sales can go down while simultaneously the price of homes is going up. Hopefully that made sense. We have like historically low numbers, and I won't just say historically low, I'll tell you the real numbers of actual inventory. And if you want to know how low inventory is, I think last week's number was 271,000 homes, which was an uptick of 3.7% in inventory week over week versus that same week last year in 2020, we were down 13% from a 321,000 homes number from 2000. I'm sorry, that was 21. And then 20, the year before, 749,000 homes. So we're down 63% week over week from 2 years prior, right? Which means that 271,000 homes is next to nothing inventory wise, right? Here's what I expect. I expect inventory to go up as it always does in the second quarter. Home prices surge, inventory goes up, happens every year, right? But I think we get a little extra uptick because of the fact that mortgage rates have gone up and demand is going to be quelled, right? So it's going to have this, two different things that are tailwinds for inventory to go up. One, that it's seasonality, inventory is coming up anyhow. And two, the demand as it wanes because interest rates go up and affordability is an issue for some folks, they're pulling this stuff off the market at a slower pace, right? And so I looked at the data from late 2018, early 2019. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood. I don't know if I wrote it down. To start 2019, we had 854,000 homes, right? That's literally like triple the inventory we have right now. Part of the reason inventory peaked up during that time was because, like I just said, rates went up. It quelled demand a little bit. Things weren't ripped off the market as soon as they come on, like we're seeing today. And so no way we get to that number, 854,000, but very likely to see those inventory numbers go up, right? So one, prepare for that, expect that to have a cooling effect on the market where we're not seeing 20% year over year home price appreciation. Maybe it's 5, 6, 8, right? Which is healthy. Not going to see prices fall off a cliff. I'm sorry. That's just, I won't even belabor that point. I just don't see it happening because of the imbalance. But be prepared to see stats that say inventory is up 27% in this market. Inventory is up 35% in this market. In my market, inventory could go up 200%, and we would still be in a market, albeit a lot healthier one, that probably leans towards sellers, right? And so those numbers, home sales fell, yes, less homes. Inventory up, of course. One, it's always up this time of year, and two, it has nowhere to go but up. We've got such small inventory. So that was just some clarification there. Another thing to consider, and I was looking at this today, I don't have the stats to pull up, but we have such a shortage of inventory. If you look at decade over decade, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, each one of those decades, we built at least 10 million homes, at least an average of 1 million a year, 12 million in some years, 2000, 2010, I think the number was 14 million. So as we're forming more and more households and there's more and more demand for homes because there's more people, we build that many homes. 2010 to 2020, we built less than 7 million homes. It was half of the number that was built 2000 to 2010. So as demographics continue to trend up and more households were formed, and I'll show you the chart just for your own viewing pleasure. This is millions of households, right? And so today we're probably somewhere in this 127 million to 128 million households. If you take a home ownership rate of about 65%, 2/3 of these people are homeowners and in a home, and 1/3 of them are renters, right? As this number increases every single year, the number of homes needed to house these folks needs to increase as well. When you build half as many homes, that's the reason why a lot of these markets just saw all this pressure that pushed prices up. I went over it last week when I looked at a few markets where it was household formations versus the amount of homes coming to market. And granted, some can be resale homes where an existing home gets sold. Some can be new homes, but over time, we just need to continually increase the number because there's more and more folks. There's more and more household formation that need a place to stay. Whether it's a rental or whether it's a purchase, one way or another, these folks need somewhere to live. So household formations continue to go up. What we're building, albeit now that we've started to build in a lot of areas over these last couple of years at a higher than average pace, it's nowhere near the number we need, right? I think it was Ivy Zellman and Barry Habib who had a conversation where they didn't necessarily agree on the shortage. You know, Barry thought it was closer to 3.8 million. Ivy thought it might only be 1.5 million, shortage. But if we're building and creating at a higher pace than demand, it still might only be a few 100,000 or maybe 1 million max per year, where we're kind of, you know, bringing that gap, right? Let's just say that 2 million were needed and we were building 3 million, right? It would take a couple years to even get that evened out, right? Hopefully that made sense, right? Like if we've got a shortage of 3.8 million and we can build 2 million a year, which has never happened, right? We've never built 2 million homes, but let's just say that like it was a building frenzy. You can't just say like within 2 years we're back, because that's excluding all the homes that need to be built for the demand that's coming on. All right. Hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, tell me in the comments I'm a complete idiot. If it did, thank me and add your commentary, what you think, what you're seeing, what's going on in your market. I'd love to hear it, because to me, it's just one of those things where despite all kinds of other stuff going on, we've still got the core issue at hand: supply versus demand. This is not something that gets fixed overnight. This is not something like I described that we can, you know, turn on a dime. We're in a cruise ship, right? It's going to take a little ways to turn this housing market. And those who think that we can see 20% home price depreciation in a quarter or two from now are just absolutely out of their minds. Or maybe I'm out of my mind. You be the judge, right? And until next time, we gonna see.